This vocab question is also kind of difficult. We've got a couple of hard ones near the end here, which is frustrating because I usually say that these are easy questions that we want to get to, but a lot of people get this one wrong. We still need to go to the lines and make sure we understand what they're asking for here. They want to know the definition of the word matched, common word, but let's see how it's being used. The researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of matched control subjects into MRI scanners and asked them to memorize 3-digit numbers, black and white photographs of people's faces, and magnified images of snowflakes while their brains were being scanned. So what they're trying to do, I guess I can read the next sentence too. McGuire and her team thought it was possible that they might discover anatomical differences in the brains of the memory champs. So they're putting two groups of people in this MRI, and so they're trying to take the mental athletes and a group of similar control subjects. Now, I'll admit here, my confidence in that guess has a lot to do with the word control and just the understanding that that's like what that means in an experiment. So this is very important for the SAT. They do kind of expect you to know this. This is not considered like outside information. This is just like definitions of how science experiments work, right? You have the group that you're testing, and then you have a control, kind of like a similar group that's just like normal and kind of has the normal situation. And because you're trying to measure something, right? You're changing something, and you're seeing what effect that change has. So the control group does not experience the change. Things are normal for them. But then the other group, the experimental group, you change something and you try to see if there's a difference. So here is where I think we can get rid of a few answers, right? They're not competing, for sure, right? It's an experiment. There's no competition. And the point is that they're not distinguishable, right? They're not supposed to be different. The whole point is that we're trying to see how similar they are. And if there is a difference, then that is scientifically important because the two groups were so similar in the beginning, right? That's the point of an experiment. They're similar groups, so any differences helps us understand what the impact of the experiment was. Then we get down to these two words that are actually very similar, comparable and identical. And this is a rare case where I'm actually going to use the strong words strategy on a vocab question. Usually this comes up when we have longer answer choices for like process of elimination questions, but it does help here. One of these words is definitely stronger than the other, right? Identical is a very strong word. It means two things are exactly the same. You have to be literal about this, right? Exactly without any difference. They're identical. There's no actual difference between them. The weaker word is comparable, and that is the correct word for this situation because identical is not really possible when you're doing an experiment, right? We're getting similar groups of people, but there's no possible way for them to be identical. And we would need some sort of evidence in the lines to support that answer choice. So it's not just my knowledge of experiments, it's also my knowledge of the SAT, right? That word is so strong, so powerful, that I would need evidence of that definition somewhere in these lines. And I really just don't get it. I don't get a ton of evidence that comparable is right, but that's the benefit of weak words, is we can be more flexible and kind of force them in without offending the passage in any way, right? Because there's less stuff that might make it a bad fit. So identical, too strong, I would kind of defer to my SAT instincts of avoiding strong words here, and I would pick comparable, and, those are synonyms, right? Comparable and similar are much better synonyms than identical and similar. And just know that those kinds of differences between strong words and weak words, they really do matter on a lot of SAT questions. If you're having trouble with the reading section, it's probably because you're not paying attention to the strength of a word. And so that's how you do the longer questions too. You really want to look at the words that you're given in those choices and determine, the words mean what they mean. So you got to be careful with words that are too strong. It usually means that an answer is going to be wrong.